Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Well, folks, it's a great day. It's a great day. It's a great day. How do you start as a ball player in South Bronx, growing up where your parents were people who understood how to take a dime and make it a dollar? One of them also knew how to look for the numbers man and how to make sure that you had a relationship with the numbers man so you could hit a little lottery, maybe buy a bunk bed or something every now and then. Well, that person grew up in the South Bronx, went on to go to Georgetown playing ball, and then went to Wharton. He decided that he was going to pursue his not MBA, but his MBA, and not go after the MBA money, but the long money with the MBA. Went to Wharton, worked on Wall Street, and then started his own company. Now he's one of the largest minority-owned franchisee companies in the world, plus a consulting firm to teach people how to get in the franchise business. I've had him on before, but this time is going to be special because we're going to talk about how you create wealth and how you maintain it for the long term. My special guest is my friend Kevin Hicks from Blackman & Associates. You're going to be blessed by today's presentation because he's in my new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, a whole chapter about his thinking and the impact he's had on my thinking. Well, folks, you know, you have only just a minute. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon us. We can't refuse it. We didn't seek it. We didn't choose it, but it's up to us to use it. We must suffer if we lose it, give account if we abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. I'm grateful for this minute, this moment to be with you. I want to thank all of you for making this the #1 self-help show in the country. I want to thank you for all of you who've told your friends and family members to listen to the podcast, and it has swelled globally. And then I want to thank you for always being so supportive of my books and other resources, because I want to help you win, and y'all are buying this new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, and I'm grateful for you. Then I take a moment to thank our sponsor, Truist Bank. Truist is a bank where 2 great banks came together. BB&T and SunTrust decided to stop competing with each other, and to BB&T and SunTrust decided to stop. BB&T and SunTrust decided to stop competing against each other and start cooperating with each other, and they went on to create Truist, which has a root word of trust. And that is why when you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. And then, you know, I start every show. I don't let one show go by without me taking a moment to give God glory. And everybody might not believe in God, might not believe like I believe, and it's okay. I'm not trying to convert you. I just want to make sure I take a moment to say thank you. to say thank you. 20 years on this program, 20 years when I didn't know how I was going to make it the first one, but God gave me grace when I didn't know what I was doing and helped me and gave me people to interview and let the big dogs get on my show. I'm grateful. I am grateful. I'm grateful. So God's gift to you is life. Your gift to God is what you do with your life. Do something extraordinary with it. Well, as I started right now, my special guest is my friend. He's my good friend, and I'm grateful for his friendship, his input, his help, not just with me, with my thinking, but with my family, helping my family. His name is Kevin Hicks, and he's owned franchises all over America, hotels, restaurants, trucking companies, and he helped change my thinking. He grew up in a tough area in South Bronx, played sports, got a college education by being a basketball player. While in college, he took business courses, realized he enjoyed business more than basketball. When his other basketball buddies were trying to get to the NBA, he decided to get his MBA, Master's in Business at Wharton Business School. He went on to work in corporate America for a few years, then Wall Street, and then he launched his own business, going on to become a multi-millionaire and helping others to become multi-millionaires as well. He's my dear friend, Kevin Hicks. Thank you, Kevin, for making time, because you busy, man. You busy. Thank you for making time to be on with me, my brother.
My brother, it is always a pleasure and an honor to talk to you, but certainly to talk to you and your audience. And I consider it a privilege. I thank you so much for sharing a few of my thoughts in your wonderful book that we're all looking forward to seeing continuing to sell and grow and becoming your best book ever. It's already a bestseller, but that's easy because it was a bestseller before you even finished the book, because people were pre-ordering. But
they were pre-ordering. You're right.
Sir. Yes, sir. So much so you had to get out and press more, I'm sure.
We had another print run. That's right. That's exactly right.
So I congratulate you on the book.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Okay, so I gave him a quick synopsis. You grew up in South Bronx. Now, this was no holidays place. You grew up in the rough part of South Bronx.
Yes,
am I right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we grew up in Crotona Park. So the building that I lived in was what we would call a mid-rise right now. But when you turn to the right, the housing projects building was a high-rise. It had back. So we talking back 40 years now, at 50 years, it had 40 or 50 floors back then. And, that was rare. Yeah. And so we were near a park. The grocery store was the bodega because, as you know, you have a fancy term for it now called food deserts, but many people in those days, we had food deserts or we had second tier kinds of grocery stores. Yeah. So if you really wanted good fruit and vegetables, those kinds of things, you weren't going to get them unless you took a trip. So you would see some of the old ladies and the aunties and the grandmas getting on the bus to literally go shopping for groceries because they wanted quality foods. Wow. So it was that kind of neighborhood. The violence wasn't the kind of violence that we're familiar with now that is gunplay, but the violence was knives and hands and, so it was that kind of violence. And the poverty was considerable, but the beauty of it was that everyone shared with everyone. So we never really knew that we didn't have money. And then, of course, my father was in a different kind of business. My father was a numbers banker. So we had what would be considered a middle class income in my early years. Later years, my father did much better and we moved out of that neighborhood. But,
some people don't know what a numbers banker is.
Okay.
That you assuming people know what a numbers banker is.
So many times when you people when good people watch some of the Black organized crime films, you'll hear about Bumpy Johnson or Madam Sinclair, and you hear that they were running what was an illegal lottery in the Black community, where initially it was based on the stock exchange. The last few numbers, they would look in the paper and they would get the daily numbers, and you'd hit the number if you bet and got a certain particular number in their sequence correct, and you'd be able to spend as much as 25 cents and win $500, or spend $2 and win $1,000. Then it changed to the horse racing. And so now they would look at the daily horse races, and you would pick numbers based on the races that happened at whatever was a nearby racetrack for you. And that's when you started to see, many people may remember when we used to have newsstands, you'd be able to go buy magazines and newspapers. You also would sometimes see these weird things called dream books.
Dream books, right?
Dream books. Those dream books were people who were printing up, angles of how you could win, or numbers that they dreamed about that gave some kind of insight to your potential winning. And people would buy those things to try to get an inside track. They'd also give you information about the horses that were running that day, that kind of thing. So what is now known as a lottery and is legal was based on the numbers. It was, it was really, you may hear people call it the policy game. So if you watch some of the white organized crime films, you hear them talk about policy. That's the numbers.
Same difference. It's the numbers. We called in our neighbor, he was the numbers man. Okay.
That's right. Exactly right. And so that person was revered in our community.
Revered. Nobody messed with him. Nobody messed with him.
He would loan people money. He would, if they were short on their rent, he would send kids out to summer camp. If somebody was going to college, he'd send them off with their suit and money for books. Or if somebody was getting a job that required them to trip 3 trains, they give them the money for a car. These kinds of things. So that's why they were looked up to. During Thanksgiving, they buy hundreds of families Thanksgiving dinners. So this was a revered figure. It wasn't like the narcotics dealer or any other kind of criminal, because it was really a victimless crime. So much so that when the states began and the cities began to see the success and the amount of money generated, they got into the number. They in the numbers game.
Okay, so your dad, he was a numbers banker. Your mom, and the two of them.
Stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom.
The last time my mother worked, my little brother never knew my mother to have a job. I think when I turned maybe 3, my mother used to work for the phone company. We used to call her Ma Bell. She used to work for Bell Telephone. And she stopped at about 2 or 3. I think Daddy's money got better and he wanted her at home raising his children. She was very traditional.
Right.
And so I know my mother to be a stay-at-home mom, which is probably the hardest job that you could possibly do.
Yes.
And in many cases, the thankless job. And you get your thank you 20, 30 years later. What job do you have that you ever get your thank you?
Your mom's still alive.
Yes, she is. My mom is 89. She's still going on trips. She's going on cruises.
Let me stop for a second and make it clear. She don't just go on it. Her son sends her on trips, sends her on cruises, has put her in a nice place, and around her sister, I believe her auntie or somebody, blessed her, flies them around the country because her son has done the work and has built a successful business. So let me say you went from the Bronx, Georgetown, played basketball, I believe under Coach Thompson.
Yes.
All right. Taught you a lot of
life lessons.
Yeah, life lessons. Then you had to make a decision. Because you're a big guy, okay, and you can ball. Do I pursue this NBA dream, or do I pursue business? And you said you took business course and then realized you like business more than basketball.
And the numbers game, because I try to tell people, in the 80s, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, who are people know now as iconic basketball players, they were the top players in the league in terms of salary, and that was $600,000.
Wow.
So the average guy was making 50, 60, which is great job money, but that's what it is. But the average player only played, just like today, 3 years. Even today, it's 3 years. Wow. And so what do you do with the rest of your life? Because in those days, you stayed until you were 21, not like now when they leave at 18, 19. So what do you do with the rest of your life after 24 years of age? And so I don't think it's a good bet to put all your chips on a profession that averages 3 years.
Wow.
And the money was not considerably better than some of my white colleagues who were getting out and going into the professions, whether it's accounting or whether it was finance or so I just did the calculus, and it said there was more longevity and there was a greater chance for me to create wealth by going into business.
Wow. Well, we're going to come back after this break. He's going to tell you how he built one of the biggest franchise ownership organizations. He's not one franchise. He has multiple hotels, restaurants, FedEx trucks, routes. He got all sorts, and he'll tell you about that. But then we're going to talk about the incredible lessons he taught in the book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, that changed my thinking and helped me grow my wealth. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast. And for sure, your best and the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. You can call on me when you need me. Call me. You can call on me. Call me.
Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast comes from Truist Bank. When you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. When you become a homeowner, your future starts to feel different. That's power, knowing you could be creating generational wealth to pass down. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Truist has programs that could help you buy a home with a lower down payment than you might expect. And their professional guidance helps you build belief that home ownership is within reach. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about options that are available to you. They will listen to your goals and follow through. Reach them by calling 855-562-1579. Do this for your family and your legacy. That number is 855-562-1579 or visit truist.com/homebuyer. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Certain programs and geographic restrictions may apply. Contact a loan officer for details. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley with my special guest, the king. I call him the king of franchising, not franchisee, but franchising, because he has multiple franchises. His name is Kevin Hicks, and we're going to come right back. But I want to take a moment to tell everybody to go to winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com. Get some of the free resources and all the things that we have there. Get the book if you haven't gotten it. Get multiple copies, for one and for you, one is for your family, one is for your cousins, one is for, get multiple copies of the book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, because we want to help you win and grow your wealth, your health, your wisdom, and your future and your finances. Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. You can get it at winwithwillie.com. And then I want to make sure you also go to newwaytomakemoney.com. I'm promoting this because my friend J.R. Fenwick, who's also a friend of Kevin Hicks, is teaching people how to grow their wealth through stocks. And he's the best teacher I've ever met. And I want to expose his great gift to the world. So go to newwaytomakemoney.com. Check him out. On Tuesday nights, he has a free event that you can tune in at 7 o'clock. You can learn about that. And I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. And I am grateful for the checks that I have been getting as a result of me learning about what he teaches. I'm glad about the checks. Right. All right. So Kevin Hicks, you went to war. You were at Georgetown under John Thompson. You learned a lot. You decided. I did a critical study after you took some business classes. You just took some paper and pen and said, let's look at what the NBA players make in 3 years and what these Wall Street guys and people are making in a year. Let me just look at this. You went on and got accepted to Wharton. Now that ain't no small deal. That's a big deal. Got to Wharton, got your MBA, and then worked I believe you worked in corporate America for a while. Yes. And then on Wall Street. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And then one day, what made you leave Wall Street to start your own company? Tell me that story.
Well, what happened was, and it's always a funny story with my friends, is as with any corporation, they try to identify young people who are rising stars, who they think they have the potential to elevate within the firm. And I happen to be a young rising star at a particular investment bank.
Okay.
And I'm sitting with my mentor and my sponsor, two different things.
Stop.
So when you think of a sponsor, it really is intra-organizational. It has to do with your professional life. It has to do with your elevation in the company, that kind of thing. You want to identify somebody in the company that you're working with, okay, that you can emulate, that you can learn from, that you can service, most importantly, service and help them to accomplish whatever their charge is. And in exchange for that, learn and elevate with them. That's a sponsor, the person within the company or the organization, even if it's a church or if it's a not-for-profit, you've identified, or they've identified you as someone they want to pour into.
Okay, go ahead.
A mentor is a more holistic thing. This person has a commitment to you, the person, and your development as a person, not just professionally. And so that individual may know things about your business and your professional life, but they'll also know things about your personal life. They'll also help pour into you so that you become a better parent. They'll also pour into you so that you become a better sibling, a better son. They'll also pour into you so that you become a better person, whether you're a faith-based person or whether you're not, so that so they help you with personal development, which of course is a key component in your professional development.
Wow, I love that. Thank you for that definition. I want people to know that, because you in the corporate arena, you need a mentor and a sponsor. Those are two things. So you were sitting with your mentor and your sponsor, and what happened?
And so we're sitting, and they're running through numbers. So in these meetings, the young gun, the young star, the rising guy, he doesn't get to talk, but he gets to be in the room.
Okay.
So the mentor is talking. And so they're talking about all these numbers, and I hear numbers like, 50 million, 60 million, this unit developed 20 million in this quarter. And I'm hearing these numbers, and so I'm tapping in them. I'm going, what? What are they talking about? And then, he's ignoring me. He's looking at me and just listening. Then I write it down, and he looked at me again, ignored me. And then they gave another astronomical number. I think it might have been 80 at this point. And I said, who are they talking about? And he twisted his head and looked at me and raised his eyeballs, and I realized it was me, my team. And my mother taught me many, many things, but one of the earliest things she taught me how to do, Dr. Jolley, is count. I knew if they were paying me. I knew if they just said I was getting them, and I knew it was time to boogie. So I went out after the meeting. I called two of my best friends, okay, and they said, and I said, yo, you're not gonna believe what just happened. I was in this meeting, and they were running these numbers, brother, and it was me. They said, oh, so you got your Negro wake-up call. I said, I got mine a couple of weeks ago. I said, okay, well, what are we going to do about this?
Yes.
And the three of us said that, well, we can get Lisa. She's been friends with us for 30 years. She's been with us 24 years. In this September, we'll be celebrating our 25th year. And so we said, we can put our money together and get Lisa and pay her $25,000, $30,000. I said, and we can go out and do what we're doing for these folks, because one of them worked in finance, the other was in accounting, and of course I was in finance as well, and so in acquisitions. And so we decided that day we were going to give our notice, and 2 weeks later we were going to start our own firm, and we brought the young lady with us, and that's how we launched. We initially started as a company, and rest in peace to Reverend Jesse Jackson, because he was very supportive when we made this move, because he had something that he did called the Wall Street Project, where he was trying to elevate young Black professionals and more seasoned professionals to get a larger stake in the capital markets and in those investment banks and Wall Street firms, doing business with them or working for them. And so one of the elders on Wall Street, a gentleman named Wallace Blackman, offered to mentor us and allowed us to use his name. So people always ask why we named the company Blackman and Associates. The fact that we happen to be African-American men made it kind of cool too, but it was really named after another gentleman.
I never knew that. All this stuff. I wonder where Blackman and Associates. There you go.
Using his name, we were going to be able to get into doors that we otherwise wouldn't, because they think we were representing him.
Got it.
He served on our board, and he's never taken a dime. He's still alive now. He's never taken a dime. And he supported us all throughout. So the first few years were rough, as you would imagine with any firm. But around about year 3, and I had a family at this point. So I had a family, and I went from what was a lot of money then, and there's a lot of money today. I think I went from $80,000 to like 25 the first year, 27 the second year, the third year, 35. And then after that, it took off. And I tell people in my 4th year, since my 4th year to now my 24th, I've never made less money than the most money I made in my best year when I was working on Wall Street.
Wow.
And so, but as what the lesson there is, anything of value, if it's going to be sustainable, it takes time to build.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flash in the pan companies that don't last because they did not take the time to put the infrastructure together, to build the relationships. And we did that. And ultimately, we were able to arrive at success. And how we stumbled into franchising was.
Yeah, that's what my next question. Perfect question. Because I want to know about the franchising and how you started it.
So Reverend Jackson asked us to help Black businesses raise venture capital or private equity capital. The advantage of that is, it's very patient. So you can grow your business substantially because you don't have somebody knocking on the door every month. So the analogy I give people is, let me ask you a question. If you didn't have to pay your mortgage for 5 years and you didn't have to pay your rent for 5 years, how much do you think you could do in your professional life or with your business? And they say everything. I said, that's exactly what private equity or venture capital is. It's patient money. It's not like debt financing, which is what you have when you're getting a mortgage every month. You have a bill, you have interest on it. That's the charge for the money they've lent you. And you keep moving on, whether it's 15 or 30. And for the business loan, it's 5 to 7 or maybe even 10 in some cases. But the difference is when you get venture capital, private equity money, is you get patient capital that's not knocking a door, and it gives you time to develop your business. They also come with their relationships, contacts they have, expertise they can lend to you. So that's the advantage. And so what was happening is there were several industries that we now know are affected by private industry, but he saw it at the time. There were Black auto dealers that were making a ton of money, but the industry was changing. They had singular dealerships. And Dr. Jolley, you live in the Virginia, Maryland area, in DC area. You see these dealerships that'll have 15 different cars.
Yes.
Okay. That happened because they got connected to private equity. They were able to buy the massive amount of land you needed, the massive inventory for the various different companies, because they had that patient money. They could take their time, build their business, and sell their cars. Black dealerships were still working on the debt financing, much like your mortgage. They were borrowing money, they were paying on it every month, and they were having to sell cars to make it happen. But now if your competitors have 6 dealerships in one and you just have one, where do you think the people are going to go? Right. And so he was trying to get people like myself who could familiarize Black entrepreneurs with private equity, with venture capital, to come help them. So in any case, we were doing that early on. And then we were approached by several franchise companies, in particular Burger King and Subway. And so now Reverend Jackson was encouraging us to teach some of the auto dealers and other businessmen about this alternative investment, diversification. And that's how we started turning people on to initially Burger King and Subway. It went really well for the first 6 months. And me and my partner stopped and said, hey, we don't have to do this just for Burger King and Subway. So after 6 months, we stopped the exclusivity and we opened up ourselves to all franchises, and we stopped working for the franchise companies. We started working for the individuals who wanted to get into franchise.
Hold that thought for a second. We'll be right back. We got to take a break for station identification. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and started to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store, get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast with my special guest, Kevin Hicks. I will come back to Kevin in one moment, but before I do, I want to talk about my sponsor, Truist Bank, and I'm grateful for their sponsorship. If you're a longtime Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways listener, you know I believe that mindset is the key to success, and so does Truist. That's why they created this incredible resource called Money and Mindset. It's full of tips to help you grow your finances, your well-being. It gives you articles, quizzes, calculations, and more podcasts. Myself as one, all for free and for anyone, not just their clients, anyone to use. Check it out today at truist.com/money and mindset. Truist.com/money and mindset. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. My special guest is my friend, Kevin Hicks. I call him the king of franchising, not just franchisor or franchisee. And there's a difference between them. A franchisor is the owner of the business, of the big brand. And a franchisee is the person who buys into that. And they might have a simple number or a set number of stores in that brand or offices in that brand, whatever it is. And then Kevin has a company called Blackman Associates that helps you understand franchising, how to get your monies right. He gives consultancy. He helps you start a franchise organization and grow your wealth. So Kevin, where can people reach Blackman and Associates if they say, hey, I want to learn how to get into this franchise business? Where can they reach you for your consultant work? It
is probably easiest to contact us by phone. But before we do, I want to thank you and also your mentor, Mr. Les Brown, because the model that you gentlemen set is the one that we use, and that is this. I watched you folks live out what you were teaching. And as I've often told you, I met Mr. Brown when he came into radio. He'd never been in radio, and he winds up having the #1 radio show in the most competitive market in the country. Well, we use that, and I see you live every day, even with how you raise your family, in addition to what you do for your mentees.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that, and I will share those comments and those nice, kind words with Les. We have tried to set a standard that encourages, inspires, and gives a model that others can take. So thank you for those kind words. Now, let's get to the question. How did you get all these franchises? How did you build this business? Because you started buying up franchises.
Yes,
let's talk about what y'all bought.
Okay, so the first thing, and I know you always laugh when I tell you this, and I tell people all the time, and you and I have had conversations about, we have to get away from the fast, the flashy. We want to get with the sustainable and what makes money.
Yes.
The first franchise I got into was a janitorial cleaning company. Not fancy, not fancy,
yep.
And not super impressive when you tell somebody till you show them your profit and loss statement. But the reality is we got into a company called Coverall, and the way they worked is if you gave them a certain amount of money, $10,000, $15,000, they give you $50,000 or $100,000 worth of contracts.
Wow.
Already preset. All you had to do is buy the equipment package from them, hire people, manage the people, and service it. Now, you could then leverage that and go out and sell your own contracts as well. You still had to give them a piece of it, but you could do that, or you could buy more contracts from them. So we were able to get that capital, and that allowed us to get into other. So my first restaurant was a Subway restaurant that we used the money from the janitorial cleaning company to get into. And the challenge is, Dr. Jolley, most people don't know how much money these restaurants make. So I'll give you an example. A Subway today is on the lower tier of sandwich shops because it's an economy brand. But if you look at something as simple as a Jersey Mike's averages $1.3 million a store, and you have 15 to 20% margins. So, Dr. Jolley, if your son came home at 25 years of age and told you he was making $260,000, you'd be doing a dance around the house saying it was all worth it, right?
Right.
And that's just a simple sandwich shop. So when you see some of our South Asian brothers, Indian in particular, and you see them living next to you, and you're wondering, how did they get to Alpharetta? What are they doing in Westchester? Why are they in Falls Church? It's because they have 4 of these restaurants that are making them $150,000 to $200,000 each. Wow. And then ultimately they're having the ability to bring their family into these businesses.
That's
and
right.
So our first franchise was Subway. And at the time, they make much more now. But at the time, our little stores were making $60,000 each. And we had 3 of them. That was $180,000. That was all the money in the world. It still is good money today. And we built on that. What we decided to do was, the reason we bought franchises is because you remember the old commercial, I'm not just a hair club president, I'm also a client.
Right.
If we're going to tell people that franchising is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and we're going to help them get into the business, and that's what we do. We help you raise the money. We help you identify the best franchise. We find mostly existing ones that are already open and making money now, so you don't have to drive or build them up. We said the best way to prove that franchising was great was to be franchise owners as well. And so we tried to do both, be consultants to get more minorities into franchising, but we also did that by showing them the success we had doing the very thing we were trying to persuade them to do. The best way to reach us is by calling us, and there's a couple of ways. You can call us at 646-408-3284. Now, you probably will be screened because that is my number, and it really goes direct to the office. And then after you've been screened and we find out what it is that you're looking to do, you will be able to contact me or one of the young men that works for me.
Great. Okay, so real quick, I want to get into the book, but you've gone on from the janitorial, then you went on to Subways,
Yes, sir.
then you went on to chicken at some point.
Yes.
Okay.
You got a good memory, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. We bought 16 Church's Chicken restaurants. We were in the top 10 largest owners. We bought 16 Church's Chicken restaurants in South Florida. There were 11 in Miami. We owned all but 1. And there were 5 in Fort Lauderdale.
Did you have a Golden Corral as well?
Yes, we did. We had 2 Golden Corral restaurants. You're really impressive.
And then you said, let's buy a hotel. So
yes,
you bought
yes, sir.
some hotels.
We actually sold those restaurants in South Florida, and that's how we got into the hotel business. We had a client that was looking to do a hotel in downtown Atlanta, and part of his compensation was he was going to give us a percentage of ownership. And I accepted, and I said, but I need to buy a larger stake, so you have to give me 12 months if I decide to do that. And we bought a larger stake, and then we went on and got our own property. And so that's how we got into the hotel business. But,
and then you went to delivery routes.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, good people, you're not always going to be able to get a franchise with the best deal in your backyard. And so it's important that I tell you that Dr. Jolley just mentioned I had the 16 Church's Chicken were in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, but I was living in New York. And we had just started an office in Atlanta. Okay. The Golden Corral restaurants, we had 2 of them. They were in Birmingham, Alabama, but I was living in Atlanta. And so you go where the best opportunities are, and you create an organization where you can do that from wherever you are.
Okay. And then you, after the franchises with deliveries, how to deliver stuff to people's homes more effectively and efficiently. And one day you just decided, the gaming business is pretty good.
You got quite the memory. And so good people, there's some things that you should remember about entrepreneurship. The average entrepreneur in this country makes approximately $85,000 to $90,000. The average worker in this country makes about 60, the American worker. And so you're talking about if you become a successful entrepreneur, you can make that average of 85. The challenge is most minority businesses, they make about $75,000 to $100,000 in revenues. So one of the advantages of getting into franchising is it's a proven system. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So you don't get into a franchise, they give you this key and say good luck. There's an ongoing process where you have a marketing support every week. You have an operational support every week. You have, of course, brand awareness because people know it. You see TV commercials and what have you. They give you accounting systems. They give you all the tools for you to be successful. And the reason why we planted our flag here, Dr. Jolley, is because it was the closest thing to being race-proof, sexism-proof, because it was predicated on one thing. If you don't make money, they don't make money, because remember, the franchise gets a small percentage of what you make in something called a royalty. So for Subway, maybe that's 8%, McDonald's, maybe that's 6%, UPS store, maybe that's 6 cents on every dollar. And then of course they take 2 cents to as much as 4 or 5 cents to pay for all those pretty commercials and the radio spots and the sponsorships. But the bottom line is you keep anywhere from 85 to 88 cents on every dollar. And these businesses, in many cases, are $1 million, $500,000 businesses that you can continue to scale and get a number of them. So as I just said to you, we had 16 restaurants. We did tens of millions of dollars with those restaurants. So we had an enterprise that was over $30 million in revenues. Right? And so that you get recognized by politicians, you get recognized by community groups, and you get a reputation. So how I got into gaming is one of my clients is a McDonald's owner who's now a partner of mine. He's a McDonald's owner of 11 restaurants for 18 years. Okay. And he was in the city of Chicago where they're based. Okay. His net worth increased from a guy who had a job working for Starbucks, running 17 restaurants for him, to a man who was worth $8 million. So what happened was politics matter, good people. So please get out and vote. Please support people who support your interests. The mayor of Chicago was an African-American woman who was the first Black mayor since Harold Washington. And they had been trying to get casino gambling legalized for years. What happened was they had a governor who was enlightened, Governor Pritzker. And they also, who was, by the way, the heir of the Hyatt hotel chain. Right. And you had Mayor Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot, who was an attorney, and they were able to get casino gambling legalized. Now there had to be a process. They invited companies to come in and bid to see who was going to get the license. There was only going to be one. Well, she put a condition on it that you could not bid unless you had ownership opportunities for Black, Latino, female, veterans, and disabled. And so as such, now all the casino companies, many of them from outside of Chicago, were calling up groups and organizations they thought that had the resources. Well, they called up a very powerful group called the Black McDonald's Operators, who, Dr. Jolley, I believe you've spoke for before.
I have spoken for them, correct.
And so remember, this is a very powerful group of men. The average owns 5 stores. The average store does anywhere from 3.5 to 4 million. They make 200,000 a store. So these are wealthy men. So
women. I got a couple women.
Women. Yes, women. Yep. Men and women. My apologies. Absolutely. In many cases, they bring their children into the business. That's right. They reached out to this group and they said, would you guys like to participate in a bid with us? Because they knew they had the financial wherewithal to get into casino gambling. Well, they called me too. And after some convincing, because first my partner called me at 11 o'clock at night. As you know, Dr. Jolley, I work late hours. Right. And when he called me, I said, fool, get off my phone. Because he's telling me, you want to own a casino? I'm like, yeah, fool, get off my phone. I got work to do. And he calls me back a second time. No, Kevin, I'm serious. And on the third time he called, he used some term that sounded like he knew what he was talking about. And so I joined in the effort and I partnered with Bally's Corporation. All right,
we're going to come right back after this break. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Motivated, highly motivated, gonna take it to the top. Motivated, highly motivated, I'm never gonna stop. I had a job job I really hated. It made me sick, but it got me motivated. I knew that this was not where I was meant to be. I didn't want to stay, but I was too afraid to leave. Then one day I got my check, there was almost nothing there. I went to the boss, he laughed and said he didn't care. My kids were at home hungry, I was about to lose my home. That's when I decided I had to make it on my own. Said,
I'm so excited about the response to my new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. So many have said that the book has had a profound impact on their thinking. I wrote the book to teach others what I have been taught over the last 20 years, interviewing billionaire after billionaire. And most of those billionaires started with nothing. I want to offer you some of the most powerful chapters in the book as a gift. Go to richisgood.wealthyisbetter.com to read the free chapters so you can get on with growing your wealth. Get the free chapters at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, here to thank Truist Bank for their sponsorship of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. Now, if you're a longtime Wealthy Ways listener, you know I believe that mindset is the key to success, and so does Truist. That's why they've created their incredible resource, Money and Mindset. It's full of tips to help you with your finances and help you with your well-being. You can get articles, quizzes, calculators, and hey, even more podcast information that will bless you, all for free and for anyone to use. Check it out today at truist.com/money and mindset. Truist.com/money and mindset. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care, and Truist Bank is a member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. I got my special guest, Kevin Hicks. So, Kevin, you went from teaching people how to start and grow a franchise operation, and then you said, well, if we can teach others, we can do it ourselves. Then you started buying franchises like Subways and Golden Corrals and others. And then you said, you know what, let's take these profits and take it to another level. You got a hotel and a number of hotels. And then you said, let's get into casinos and to gaming. And you got the opportunity, you had the resources. And then how did you build this next part of your business?
We connected with the people. We partnered with the people in the community. We gave an opportunity for 35% of the contracts that were going to be minority owners. 60% of the jobs want to go to the south side and the west side of Chicago, which you know are some of the poorest and in many cases violent areas in the city. And so the people connected with us, and even as a long shot, we won. So that's how I got into gaming.
All right, man, it's just great, and there's more to come. We could go on and on. I want to get to this book because you give some lessons and thinking in this book that is so profound. He says there are 5 reasons why it's important. This is on page 156 in my book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. Kevin Hicks says, 5 reasons why it is important to create wealth. And I'm going to go through them and you expand on them.
Okay.
To provide a high quality of life for your family.
Yes, sir. Well, everyone goes to work to be able to feed themselves, house themselves, and clothe themselves. And if you love yourself and you love your family, you want to do that at the highest level that you can in terms of quality, not necessarily luxury, but quality of life. And so one of the things that creating wealth, and remember, wealth is measured, okay, not by money, okay, but by net worth. And net worth is very simple.
Stop. Wealth is measured not by the money you got coming in, but by net worth. What does that mean, Kevin? Come on now.
What you do is you take everything that you have of value, whether it's your watches, your jewelry, your TVs, your furniture, your 401k, your savings from your checking, the value of your house, the value of your cars, the value of art, if you have art, because I'm a collector, so I have art. And you put that, you make a T, They used to call it the Ben Franklin T. You make a T, you put it on the left-hand side. Those are your assets. Then on the right-hand side, anything or anyone you owe. If you own somebody, you got a promissory note, you put that over there. Child support, you put that over there. If you have a car note, you put that over there. Your mortgage, you put that over there. Anything that you own, credit card debt, you put on the right side. You then subtract the right side from the left side, and the number you get at the bottom is called your net worth. And that's how your wealth is measured. African-American people have been incredible people in that in 1961, 1962, African-American men made 1/3 of what their white male counterparts did. And women, it was not even close. It was because most women were in the job market, except for very limited professions. So we're going to use men for the purposes of this example. So now I just told you, they've gone from being 1/3 of white men's income to now closing the gap to $10,000. Where they didn't close the gap is in terms of wealth, because most of us do not buy assets that appreciate, that gain value after you buy them. We buy depreciating assets. We'll go buy a very fancy car. We'll go buy a very fancy watch. We'll buy expensive clothes that the minute you put it on, the minute you drive it off the box, the minute you wrap it around your wrist, okay, in most cases, it loses value. So the focus on creating wealth is to focus on being financially stable. And that simply means having the ability, if you come into emergencies, whether they be health, whether they be financial, whether they be job loss, the ability to take care of your family and maintain the same quality of life for 12 to 18 months. That's financial stability. That should be your first goal. Forget all this skyrocketing to be rich. Financial stability, because you want your family to be able to have a good quality of life where they don't have to worry about where they're going to live, where they don't have to worry if they're going to be able to eat, whether they're going to be able to go to school or go back to school. So you want to have a good quality of life for your family. So that's the first one.
Number two, after provide a high quality of life for your family, number two is to have the money or resources to take advantage of opportunities that may come your way. What does that mean?
You just got a perfect example. I would not have been able to get into gaming at a $2.5 billion casino that's going to have 10 restaurants, 20 stores, a 500-room hotel, a retractable dome for conferences and concerts. I would not have been able to take advantage of that opportunity if I did not have the saved resources to jump on it when my friend called me and I thought he was crazy. And he said, hey, do you want to do this? Dr. Jolley often knows that I'm very bashful and I rarely talk about our holdings, but one of the deals that recently came to us, we're about to be probably the largest franchisee for the third largest coffee company in America, because we're going to have 120 coffee shops. And those coffee shops do $140 million in revenues, and they employ 2,000 people. And the 2,000 people make a minimum of $20 an hour to upwards of $80,000 to $100,000 for the managers. I was in a conversation in Las Vegas. Dr. Jolley remembers when I took the trip, because I called him because I couldn't get out of Atlanta and I had to get away down there. And he'll tell you on another occasion how I was able to fly down there.
Flew private. That's what he did. He flew private. That's called he called a private plane and said, get me there.
Okay,
Go ahead.
As I was saying, so I got there because it was a very important meeting. It was all of the multi-unit franchise owners, people who own more than one, maybe 10 to 20 from around the country for different brands, and different brands were there to try to meet us to get us into their brands. So I was having an important meeting, and I was going there to meet one group, and I wound up meeting this coffee company. A young man asked me to go with him to the dinner because he was going to be talking to the COO and the CFO, and he never talked to someone like that at that level. So I went with him, and I helped him to get his deal. And when they found out who I was, we wound up talking. They wanted to sell me 27. And I said, he told me the owner was going to retire. I said, how about selling us the whole 120? And so I could not have said that if not two things were in place. One, have a team. You can't do it by yourself. I have great partners. There are 12 of us, and we all have different skill sets. We all are people of faith. We all respect and like each other. Some of us longer love each other. And I knew I had the resources individually and with my partners to take advantage of that opportunity, because he really came to talk to me about 27. It turned into 120 because I knew I had the capacity to do that.
So number three, to create new opportunities for yourself or others. For example, starting a business or investing in one, such as buying a rental property.
Yes. So ironically, people ask me, why did I want to get into the hotel business? I said, I really didn't. But at the time, my son who's now a star, my oldest son, he was lazy. And I didn't know how things were going to turn out for him. He didn't want to work. He thought it was supposed to happen right away. He thought he was going to go to Hollywood and be a writer. And so I said, I need to have a place for him to stay, a place where he couldn't get into the cash register because there is none, because you got to use a credit card. And I said, in worst case scenario, he'll have a job. So that's how I got into that. But all kidding aside, a rental property is a perfect example.
Yeah.
The reality is, by getting a rental property, you really are providing an opportunity for people that you care about to have a place to stay. You really are providing an opportunity for people who need an affordable or quality or clean place to stay. And you're deriving income.
Number 4, to give dollars or other resources to organizations or groups doing good work in the community or the world.
Right now, the environment you're living in right now, people have food insecurity. People have housing insecurity. How many times have you seen people living in cars who are working? How many times do you hear people eating one meal a day who are working? So the reality is you have an opportunity to give to a food bank because of the resources you have that are feeding some of these families. You've seen it on television when they go to various churches or church groups or restaurants that will feed folks like that. You can help some young men who have talent, young women who have talent to go to school by giving to a scholarship fund or an organization like the United Negro College Fund, for example, okay, where you can help some young people to realize their dreams, get an education and transform their lives. Or something as wonderful as the YMCA, which I was a part of, where they teach you skills, computer skills, they tutor you, they teach you how to swim, they let you participate in sports. All of these things, you can give those resources to that organization that is doing good in the world as well. So having resources and having dollars gives you the capacity to do good and touch lives.
Number 5, to engage in financial self-defense, the ability to protect yourself with reserve funds during the challenging economic time, personal financial crises, health challenges, job loss, legal problems, and so forth. I've never heard that term before. He has coined it, but he can explain it like nobody's business. Financial self-defense. What does that mean?
To protect yourself against the storms that all of us at varying degrees are going to suffer. I can use myself. My business was thriving. Unfortunately, what happens is many of my businesses are based on two things. During COVID, people were locked in, so they couldn't come to the restaurants. People were locked in, so they couldn't come to the hotels. Okay, but trucking businesses did well because people were ordering online, and so that offset it some. But those two primary businesses were affected because we had shut in place. Well, for almost 18 months, I was not able to make income, substantial income, as we had been doing. But because I had assets I could either borrow against in the form of a house, I had assets I could make money from because in terms of rentals. Okay, I had assets that I could borrow against in terms of a portfolio. That's your stock, the stock that you have bundled up. And I had savings. So I had the ability to weather that storm and provide financial self-defense for myself. What could have happened, it didn't have to be COVID. It could have been a health crisis. Before Obamacare, so-called the Affordable Care Act, 80% of all bankruptcies were due to medical problems, medical challenges.
Wow.
So people having to get dramatic treatment, whether it be surgeries or had ongoing sicknesses, 80%. And part of the reason why we pushed for healthcare reform is because families were being devastated. Okay. And that's just something that happened that you can't control. What if your child is in college and you lose your job, or your company gets sold and they downsize, and now your child is doing well in school and they're in their sophomore year, but you don't have an asset like a home to borrow against, which is why I always say the foundational tool and asset of wealth building first is a home. You don't have that home to borrow against. You don't have those savings where you can borrow against the money that you have in your savings. You can borrow against the money you have in your stock portfolio. But if you don't have either one of those, you can't. And your child doesn't have their education disrupted because they've shown percentages. Children who have their education disrupted for more than a year, a substantial percentage of them do not return.
Right.
And so all of these things you can protect yourself against with savings, resources, and assets.
Wow, folks, this interview, we got so much more we could cover. We're going to have to go into overtime. So what I'm going to do is we're going to end for this week right now. We might be back again next week with more with Kevin Hicks. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Hey, I want to thank you. I want to thank Truist. When you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. And then I want you to go and visit winwithwillie.com for resources to help you win more. And remember to make the most of each and every minute, because your best is yet to come. Have a great week on purpose. We'll talk to you soon. God bless you.
And everybody's right sometimes, some rain's gonna.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.